What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about my Brazilian wax experience. I know it is summertime and a lot of people are thinking about getting Brazilian waxes because having to shave every 2 days is like not the move. So I'm going to tell you guys all about my experience and some things that helped me when I went to get my first Brazilian wax, if this is your first time. So if you guys have not seen my all about my tattoos and piercings video, I will link that up here. But I talked about how I have a very high pain tolerance, so when I talk about this experience, please keep that in mind. So the first time that I went, I was very nervous. I didn't watch any of these videos before I went, and the first time I was like, okay, this is going to be very painful because you're not used to anything ripping down there. I know that sounds like a very harsh word, but that's really what it is. It's a wax and they rip the stuff off. So you're not used to anything ripping down there. So I was very nervous my first time. So when I went in, I had a very nice lady. I went to the European Wax Center. I'm not sure if those are nationwide. You may have different wax centers wherever you live, so go wherever you feel comfortable going. I went to the European Wax Center just because it was a bigger company and I was a little bit nervous of trying like a smaller wax center because it was my first Brazilian wax. So if something was to happen, I wanted to make sure somebody was going to be held accountable for whatever. So that's where I went. So the lady that I had was very nice. And for whatever reason, I got a student discount. Again, I don't know if they do that at every European wax center, but the one that I went to, she asked for my student ID, or if I had a student ID, and I did. So I ended up getting like 15% off or something. And I think they're only like $55. I get everything taken off. I don't leave like a landing strip or anything, so everything is gone for me. So the lady that I had was very nice. She had me come back. She, you know, basically take your pants off, take everything off, and lay on the table and put like this little blanket towel thing on top of you, and then she was going to come back in and start. So she did ask me if that was my first time. I told her yeah. So she basically explained the whole process to me, how it was going to go, what things that I could do to make the pain a little bit less, tips that, you know, other people have given her, and different things like that. So she basically, the first thing she told me was never to come in like on drugs or anything. They tell you that for tattoos too. A lot of people try to come in like drunk or on drugs or something because they think that it's going to make the pain less, when it really doesn't. It kind of makes it worse. So I guess don't do that. But she also told me not to hold my breath, which I have a tendency to do. I do it when I get shots. I know it's coming, so I hold my breath. But she was like, don't do that. It kind of makes the pain worse too. Just kind of breathe, take deep breaths, you know, and everything will be fine. So I'm like, okay. Once the whole process was explained for me, I'm just like, okay. I was like, please don't let me like scream or jump or kick her. I'm sure it's happened to her before. I'm sure they're expecting it, but I'm just like, please don't let that be me. I don't want to be that person. Please just let this go smooth. So she applied the wax. So she started, and the first rip, I was like, what the hell is this? Mind you, I have a very high pain tolerance, and it wasn't like excruciating pain or anything, but it was very shocking. It was surprising, but I knew it was coming. So it's not like, you know, she just put it on there and I had no idea it was coming. I knew it was coming because once, you know, they start rubbing the wax paper on there and they kind of like tug it a little bit, you know they're about to rip it off. So I knew it was coming, but again, you're not used to anything ripping down there. So when she did it, I'm like, sweet baby Jesus, what just happened? And she was like, okay. She ripped it off and she put her hand on that area to stop the pain receptors, and she was like, okay, so how was it? And I'm like, okay, well, it hurt, but I mean, it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever felt in my life. So she was like, okay, can I continue? And I'm like, yeah. After about like the 5th or 6th like rip or whatever you call it, it actually wasn't that bad. After that, I feel like I'm just like, okay, now this doesn't hurt. So I feel like, again, you're not used to anything ripping down there, but once you get past the first couple of rips, I honestly feel like it doesn't hurt. I've had a few people ask me like, how does it feel? And I'm like, well, it doesn't hurt. Plus, the more you go, the less painful it's going to be. Obviously, your first time, it's gonna hurt like hell because that's something that you're not used to at all. So a tip that I would have is, if this is something that you want to do, continue to go. It's not going to be a comfortable feeling. It is not going to be pleasant. That is not something that you do or get done on an everyday basis. So it's not going to be the best feeling thing in the world. But the more you go, the better it gets. You can't go one time and then wait 6-7 months and just, you know, shave in between then and then go back and expect it to feel all peachy. Like, no, you have to continuously go and you have to keep up with it. Like I said, I don't know if all European wax centers do student discounts, but if you are a student, I would definitely recommend asking them because Brazilian waxes are not cheap. Luckily, they do last longer than shaving, so I think I only go once a month, which, I mean, it's almost equivalent to getting your hair done. Well, it's a little bit cheaper than getting your hair done. But like getting your hair done, you don't get it as often as getting your nails done. So yeah, it's a little bit expensive, but it lasts longer. And supposedly if you continuously go, because it's pulling the hair from the root, eventually the hair stops growing. Which, I don't know how long it's going to take for your hair to not grow. It's not like they gave you a timeline. Like if you go for 3 years consistently, then the hair stops growing. They just said if you keep going, eventually, however long eventually is, the hair stops growing. I love Brazilian waxes because shaving, you had the chance to get ingrown hairs. If you've never had an ingrown hair, it is like the most painful like thing ever. And I hate ingrown hairs. And it's really weird because you have to like pluck it and like TMI, but it's like an ingrown hair. It looks like a pimple and it has like the little head on it. Like, you know, guys know when you get a pimple, it has a head on it. And you have to basically like scrape the head off and then the little hair will come through. And you literally take a pair of tweezers and you pluck the hair. But it hurts. It hurts so bad, you guys. Like, I don't know, but you definitely don't want ingrown hairs in that area. You don't want razor bumps or anything in that area. So I highly recommend Brazilian waxes. Again, it is something you have to get used to. It is something that you have to do consistently. You can't go once or twice and expect it to, you know, not hurt. You have to get used to it. Brazilian waxes is something that you definitely have to get used to. So I definitely recommend Brazilian waxes. If you're comfortable with having someone go with you, then I guess you can have someone go with you. I personally go by myself. I don't think anyone wants to sit there and watch me get my vagina waxed. But I mean, if you want someone to go with you, I guess they can hold your hand. But just keep in mind that the lady or the guy, whoever is doing your waxing, they're going to be moving around. You're going to be moving. They're going to be doing different things. So just keep that in mind if you want to have somebody come with you, that they're probably going to have to move. But the wax person, do they have like a formal name or something? I don't know. But yeah, whenever the wax person needs to move, then your friend or whoever you bring with you is going to have to move too, because they can't be in the way. Another tip that I have is to let your hair grow out a little bit. I know that sounds really disgusting, but you don't want to go in there with little to no hair because one, they're not going to wax you because there's really nothing to wax. So I definitely recommend letting the hair grow a little bit because it'll be more for them to grip, and apparently it's supposed to be less painful. Let it grow. I mean, some people have said 2 inches. It's not like I really took a ruler and like measured it, but I let it grow for about 2 weeks, and then I went, which sounds disgusting, I know. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's because you guys know when hair starts to grow back, it starts to itch, so it's going to be uncomfortable. But don't go in there with little to no hair because that's really pointless. There's really nothing for them to wax, because remember, they're pulling the hair from the root. If there's no hair to pull, how are they gonna wax you? So just keep that in mind. Again, it sounds nasty and it's uncomfortable, and it is not the best thing in the world, but it's kind of more convenient for the wax person when they're waxing you. So even though I have a very high pain tolerance, the first time I went to get my Brazilian wax, it was like, I don't know, it was first, like I said, the first couple of times, I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? Like, how can you do this every day? How did you get pleasure from doing this? Not pleasure, but you know, like, how can you just wake up every day and be like, I'm just gonna go give people Brazilian waxes because it hurt. But again, once you get used to it, you're just like, okay, like, I know the procedure, I know what she's gonna do, I know what works for me in terms of like pain, how to make the pain a little bit less, how to like position myself to where it isn't so uncomfortable. And it's like you start to get used to the fact that someone's looking at your vagina. Like, you know, you start to get used to certain things after you go a couple of times. Because the first time you go, you're gonna be like, this person is, I'm really naked, like from the waist down, and this person is looking at me. And I always think in my head, because there's always something like, you'll probably be like, oh, I haven't shaved my legs and I'm getting a Brazilian. Like, she's probably going to be like, oh my God, your legs are so hairy. But I always think in my head, like, they've probably seen worse. And 10 times out of 10, they have seen worse. You're probably not the worst person to walk in there. So keep that in mind. You may not come in there perfect with your hair and makeup done. You may look like you just rolled out of bed, and you probably did. And that's okay, because I'm sure they have seen worse. Okay, you guys, that is it for this video. If you guys have any other questions, please leave them down in the comments and I will answer those for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next video.